Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Ja'Cory Neal, aka Jnealofficial, and thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of Motivational Monday. Before we get started, if you guys want to continue watching videos like this, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell button to receive notifications for when I have future videos coming out. So last week I was given the chance to hear Mr. Riccardo Dale speak, and I found his message truly inspiring, so I thought I might share it with you guys. Let's jump right into the video. So hey, what's up everybody? I'm here with the founder and director of Free All Minds, Mr. Riccardo Dale. Go ahead and let everybody know a little bit about what you do.
All right, thank you for having me. So my name is Riccardo Dale. I recently graduated from Rowan University, where I came in as a freshman, and it was one of the first times where I really discovered my love for working with youth. That is when I decided to start a nonprofit organization where we mentor at-risk and foster youth, teaching life skills, working on academics, and giving them exposure to different career fields that they might not otherwise be exposed to. Along with that, I do speaking engagements where I travel to middle schools, high schools, colleges, youth programs all over, speaking to youth about like my story from moving out of my house at 16, from the trauma that I faced growing up to really taking my life into my own hands and making the best of it. So to give you a short intro, that's what I do. I also have a clothing brand. I'm actually wearing it right now. If you can see, it says Black is Beautiful. It's a hoodie that's part of my clothing brand. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm not gonna tell everything yet.
Yeah, so with giving like a small little backstory, what inspired you to create Free All Minds?
So the biggest thing that inspired me is knowing how it feels to feel alone and feel like you have nobody and feel like you have no opportunities. So through Free All Minds, I wanted to give people this sense of belonging. And I wanted to, like in the name, free their minds of all the doubts and all the negativity that might have been placed on them as a child growing up in some of the environments that I grew up in. So that's really where Free All Minds came about. It's like I just want to give these kids and these young adults opportunities because they deserve that. I believe everybody deserves an equal opportunity at life and at success. And sadly to say, there's certain demographics of people in our society that just don't get that opportunity. So what my organization does is really try to fight those stigmas and those statistics. And another play on Free All Minds is the abbreviations, which the abbreviations for Free All Minds is FAM. And FAM is what, like we all know, like family. So that's another part of what my organization really means to me. Me being somebody who grew up in what some would say like a broken home, not having that family support, I wanted to offer that through my organization, where it's like when you're with us, when I'm speaking with you, when we're doing a program, you feel like you now have somebody. You don't even feel like you now have somebody. You do actually now have somebody who's in your corner if you don't have that family support at home.
Mm-hmm. That's very, very true. You want to just let everybody know, just a little bit like what truly helped you get started. What was that push?
So one of my biggest pushes, my freshman year is when I really started to establish my organization and really started to get the path of working with youth and finding that love. But I always had it in me from a young age. And in high school, one of the biggest things that like really drove me is really just looking around at my circumstance. 16, 17, 18 years old, like throughout those years, like I was living in one of my friend's basements, and it's like when you're there, it's just like, yo, like I'm really living in I'm really in a basement right now. I'm really failing academically. Like at one point in high school, I had a 0.8 GPA. It's just like I'm living in a basement. I'm failing academically. I'm watching my friends be killed, locked up in the same situation that they've been in for years. I'm watching them just continuously be stuck in a cycle. And the same way that I'm watching them basically almost throw their lives away and I'm watching their lives go down the drain, I'm looking and I'm seeing the people who they look up to, and I'm seeing their life be exactly the same as them. And I started to realize this cycle of people that come from a lot of these disadvantaged backgrounds, and how easy it is to fall victim to that cycle of just being your circumstance. And at that time, it took it took a lot, but after uh, multiple deaths, honestly, that really hit close to me, I realized that I didn't want to fall victim to that cycle. I didn't want to fall victim to my circumstance. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had to do something differently. Like, this could not be my life, because if I did the bare minimum, if I fed into my environment, I was going to end up like everybody else that was from my environment that went down the wrong path. So it's like that's when I really decided I got to make a decision. I got to make a shift in what I'm doing, because in life I was dealt a bad hand, and there was nothing I could do about that personally. Like, as a child, you don't have a choice where you grow up, your financial background, the family that you were put in. None of those were in my control. Like, there's nothing I could do about that. But what I could change is where I was at that time, and not necessarily the place, but my mindset. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is really changing your mindset and shifting your mindset from a, oh my, like, look at what's happening to me, and more so, what can I do about what's happening to me? And that was really the shift for me. I stopped thinking like I'm a failure and my life is this way because my mom's an addict or because my father's not in my life. And I more so started thinking about, I know all those things, now what can I do about it?
Hmm.
Like, I had to stop playing, and it might sound harsh, but I had to stop being a victim of my circumstance and feeling sorry for myself, because feeling sorry for myself would have left me in that same situation. I would have still been a failure to this day because my father never came back. So if I spend my whole life telling myself I'm a failure because of him, I'm always going to be a failure. So it was really just shifting that mindset and my perspective on life.
That's very deep. So now you're in a circumstance where you're out here helping a whole bunch of other youth, other than, 'cause I know you were in a tough situation, and now you're honestly helping bring out other youth out of those tough situations that they're within. And now, did you ever think that there was like or did you ever think that you'd be in a position where you'd consider yourself as successful?
Did I ever think I would be in a position where I would be successful, basically?
Right.
Or, okay, crazily enough, even in my worst situations, I feel like in the toughest situations I've been in the back of my head, I always felt like I had something that was kind of telling me that there was more to life.
Hmm.
And I almost can't even explain it, but I think there was definitely something that I naturally had, that even in the worst situations, even when I got down on myself, even when I doubted myself, there was always something. And I believe part of that, I'm a Christian. So part of that, I feel like God was always with me, telling me that there's more to life. But I also feel as though even my own inner conscious always believed deep down inside that I'm more than my situation. And I held on to that. And it's hard when you're dealing with a lot of things to believe like that feeling inside that you're bigger than this. Because sometimes you'll tell yourself like no, I'm not. I can't make it out of this. And you'll kind of fight against that. But I always felt deep down inside that I was gonna be great, and I was gonna change the world. And it was hard to actually see it, how it would exactly play out, but I definitely I definitely think that I believed I would be a success. I believed that I would change people's lives from my teenage years on. Childhood years, I feel like I was a lot more insecure on my abilities. I was a lot more doubtful of myself. But throughout my high school years, I feel like that's when I started to realize, like, I think I'm gonna really do something big and change this world.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. What would you say that sets you apart from others?
Um, I think what sets me apart from others is just the way that, like, I care about people, like the passion I have for helping others. And it kind of goes back to something that happened my what would be my freshman year going into college. I was working a mentoring program. In the mentoring program, you live with the kids for a month, and we're doing like academics, we're doing life skills, and like all these different activities where I get to work with these kids. Majority of these kids are foster youth, and I feel like it kind of describes the person that I am. At that time, looking back, I'm like, from a business perspective, I'm like, dang, like that was pretty stupid. Like, you gotta work with me. I'm gonna finish telling the story, but going into what would be my freshman year, I had not applied to any schools in New Jersey, and the schools that were like out of state, I barely had any acceptances, and the ones that I did were too expensive for me. So I had no plans for college next year. I had no plans of what I was doing whatsoever. I was working two jobs at the time, and I was also living in one of my friend's basement. And I got an opportunity to work this mentoring program. This mentoring program was only a month long. And I decided to quit my two jobs and go work with this mentoring program for that month, because I felt as though that was where I was needed. That was where I would be able to make an impact. Like, these kids need to see somebody who has been in their shoes, and to hear from somebody who's been in your shoes that there's more to life. It's a lot more powerful than just hearing anybody tell you like you can do better. So I think what separates me is like my passion and my care for others, even sometimes over myself. Because looking back, if I'm thinking from a financial and a business perspective, like I would tell somebody like, bro, you're stupid if you're about to quit your two jobs and take less money to go help somebody else for only a month. And then you have to go back to that same situation. Like, bro, like you're living in a basement. You can't afford to go and try to help somebody else. You can't even help yourself. So looking from the outside in, I would have told my younger self like that was a stupid decision. But that's kind of the person that I am. Like, I don't, almost to a fault sometimes. Sometimes I don't think about what's the best decision, but what is the more so right decision for me morally. Like, what is the best decision for what I believe in. And my motto, like just in life, is the purpose of life in general is to love and to be loved. And if you think about it that way, money or success does not come into play at all. And that's what I feel like really separates me from others, is just like that selfishness, like that not selfishness, but that the ability to just be unselfish and just put others before myself.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I remember there was a quote, I believe you said your father had told you when we were during the give back meeting, and it read, a lot of people spend their whole life chasing something that they don't even want. If you could reiterate on that.
Yeah, that was actually my stepfather. Um, so that was my stepfather. He was in prison, and that's a quote that he had said before he ended up going to prison, and he passed away in prison. And I feel like he pretty much knew the trajectory of his life. He knew he was going down the wrong path. He knew, like, I guess he knew like his life was coming to an end, or more so like there was nothing left for him to really do in life, because he was sick. Like I honestly believe that he knew he was dying prior to his actual death. But as the person he was, I feel like he wanted to keep it kind of sheltered from like the family and everything. So I will never know for sure, but it was like a sudden death. But I don't really believe that it was a sudden death. I feel like he knew. He just didn't want us to know. And when he said that to me, I think he was talking from a perspective of himself.
Mm.
He went through his whole life chasing whatever he was chasing, whether it be money, whether it be success. And then and then he got to his end of his life, and he realized that that's not what he wanted. All he wanted to do was be able to have more time around the people that he loved, more time around the people that he cared for. And all the success or all the money and all the things that he was able to do, when it's all said and done, they never really mattered, because all he wanted to do was spend more time around like his kids and his family. And now he couldn't. So would a dollar amount change about that? What could a dollar amount do? What could a title? If you die a millionaire or you die a doctor, either way you die. Like you no longer are here. So when he said that, and when I repeated that quote, I think it basically just summarizes that a lot of people go through their whole life thinking that the meaning of life is this success or this um material thing that you can accomplish, whether it be luxury materials, whether it be just money or status. We go like so many people, like when you think of a career option, most people when they talk to you about a career, like I almost guarantee at some point they're gonna bring up the amount of money that you can make in that career. And the and like the when you measure what a good career is, majority of the time a good career is one of the more higher paying careers. And it's just like when you think of that, that's like ingrained into our mindset in life in general, that just more money or more success or higher titles is what is good and what like life is about. And we think that that's what we want, so we spend our whole entire lives chasing those things, whether it be titles, money, status. And then we get to the end of our lives, I believe, and a lot of people realize like, wow, i didn't I didn't even want that.
Mm.
Somebody else told me that that's what life was, and I believed them. Somebody else told me that this is what was best for me, and I believed them, and I let them decide my life. Or maybe even I told myself that that's what I wanted, and I wasn't able to realize until most people, until it's all over, that really I just wanted to spend more time with my family. Maybe you're passionate about music or art or anything, and but most people will still you'll still go on to get a logical career, and you'll go throughout your whole life, and then you'll realize like, wow, all I ever wanted to do was paint. All I ever wanted to do was play music, play the guitar. But I spent my whole entire life being an accountant, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what does it mean when I just went through my whole life and I never really lived?
Mm. That's deep. That's very, very deep. Now, honestly, that quote hit hard to me because I'm a senior getting ready to graduate from high school. So in a sense, it's like my life starting all over again. I'm like starting over from the beginning, and maybe like sit back and really, really think like, what are these true next few steps that I'm about to take? Like, how are they gonna not only benefit me in the future, but like, am I gonna be happy with my choices in the future? Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say if you're doing what you love to do, you're 100% going to be happy with the decision you made in the future. I believe you can make a living out of anything that you love to do. You're going to find a way. If you love it enough, you will find a way to make a living through that. And I don't think that a passion was placed upon you to go to waste. Like you, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you're up at night thinking about 24/7, it's not a coincidence. Like there's a reason that that's what's on your mind so much. Like that is what you're supposed to do. And if you run away from that, you're only setting up yourself for a life of just unfulfillment and a lack of happiness, because you're never going to be fulfilled unless you run towards your purpose and your passion. And it's hard when it's like, obviously, like you got to live, you got to make a living, you got to take care of yourself, especially in society. Like you're a man, you're supposed to be a provider. So it's so hard not to think about where you're going to make money. But I think it's one of the worst things you can do is really make your decisions off of how much money you can make or like the status you can get. When if that's what you really care about, you're going to make a way because that's what you want to do and that's what you care about. But people are so quick to think that they have to do what is quote unquote logical.
Yeah, that is very, very true. What advice would you give to someone who's possibly interested in going like the same route that you're going is, which is helping the youth? What advice would you give to them?
I would say it's not going to be easy. Like this is a long road, and it comes with a lot, especially when you're taking on a lot of the emotions and trauma of other people. and you have to take them into yourself, because if you're somebody who's actually passionate about the work that you do, you can't not take on some of the burdens and the things that the people around you are going through, the things that they feel like you're also going to feel because you care about them. So it's to say the least, it's like it's a hard path, because you have your own issues, and then now you just adopted however many other issues that you that you now have to deal with, kind of thing. But it's a blessing to do that and to be that person for these young kids and these young students, because sometimes they don't have that person. And as much as it is hard and it hurts sometimes to take on the pain that they're going through and feel that pain with them, it's also extremely rewarding as well to know that you're having so much of an impact on somebody in this world. And I believe it all like comes back around. So my first thing would let them know, like, it's not going to be just running around playing basketball with some kids. Like, it's going to take more than really just being there if you really want to get deep into this field when you're working with youth. So I would say it's definitely going to be hard, but it's worth it. And 9 times out of 10, this is not a field where the money is directly right there, but you can find it. Like, it's not going to be upfront. You're not going to come in making a ton of money, like working with youth programs. You're not going to make a ton of money upfront starting your own nonprofit. But there are ways as you grow, and if you put the work in, that you will be able to establish yourself financially as well. So the another thing that I would say is, like, do not stress yourself over the money, and find other ways to make an income as well. Like, you have to have numerous sources of income, especially starting off, I would say. And that's almost in any career field that's not traditional, as far as like your traditional go to school, get a job at this salary. If you're doing anything that's like a little quote unquote risky, a field that's not upfront, you're making a lot of money, you definitely want to look into finding other streams of income to be able to support your main passion.
That's very true. That also helped me because that's another reason why I started this YouTube series is because not only am I young and I have like friends and stuff who are possibly going through certain situations, and I'm also able to relate because we're on the same wavelength. But I also want to be an example to set because there's like a whole bunch of other people out here like Jake Paul and Logan Paul, all that people. There's all these like people that kids are looking up to, but they're not looking up to them for the right reasons. So
Yeah,
I want to be that example of the right way to go, the right path to go.
yeah, definitely. And I think you could do it. And it's going to be harder for you, because it's sad to say it, like, positivity does not sell.
Hmm.
Like, it just doesn't. Like, there's just like, it's just life. If I put a video on Instagram right now of me feeding some kids, or like whatever work I'm doing, giving away a scholarship, anything that's like more so positive, it's just like you might get like a decent amount of buzz depending on who sees it. But 9 times out of 10, the good deeds are going to go overlooked. And not that you want the recognition from it, but because in this business, without recognition, it's very hard to receive the support and funding and resources that you need to continue doing your work. So that's really the hard part, because when positivity doesn't really sell as much, it's hard for you to get the backing and the support for you to grow your YouTube channel, for me to grow my nonprofit organization. But if I was out here running down the street and smacking people with burgers, like, I might go viral. You might go viral, you go on YouTube and you do something like that. And now it's just like, it's hard for people to want to go towards the more so positive track, because like, it's going to be so much harder. So it's like, you got to know that you're going to have to go above and beyond, because this is not like, I guess this is not what people essentially want to see when we're talking about the masses.
Right.
Even like on the news, it's like, what do you see on the news most of the time? It's like tragedies and like all like crazy things that are happening in the world are the things that are like quote unquote like popular and selling and like getting the views. It's like they don't want to hear about like the schools that are being built and stuff like that.
And that's honestly, sad to say. Like really, like taking the time to like really sit here and think about that. You're just like, man, like that's what we've come to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Here's more of like a fun question, but where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I see myself, I will have established my nonprofit in Burlington County. And within the next 5 years, I want to have my own building. So right now, like I use other buildings, I use other people's buildings, I work with other programs. Within 5 years, I want to be fully established on my own, where I have my own building. And I want it to be a community center where I also have a basketball court, where I have multiple spaces for classrooms and for other businesses to be in. I want to have the I want to have the ability to move freely, most importantly, within the next 5 years, to focus on what I love to do and not have to worry about finances in a way. And I think I'm well on that track. I want to be traveling, speaking, doing speaking engagements all across the country and across the world. I want to have established my clothing brand in a major way. And something that everybody doesn't know, in the next 5 years, I can see myself possibly running for Congress as well.
Hmm.
So that's something. I was recently appointed to the school board of my district, Beverly City School District. So after being appointed to that position, within the next few years, I'm definitely looking to get on like a pretty local position as far as the government as well, possibly like an assemblyman position, and then from there, eventually Congress. So I think I'm doing pretty well on the track to get to that as well.
That's
I don't
amazing.
know about 5 years for if we're talking realistically what people would say, but me personally, I could see it getting it done in 5 years.
That's amazing. That is truly, truly amazing. Another question I have is, what have you been doing to stay sane during quarantine?
Yeah, so during quarantine, it's been rough because it's like I feel like it's been rough for everybody. It's like we're stuck inside, you're isolated with your own thoughts, and it's just like the more you're inside, the more you're by yourself, the more you have just like thoughts of like I don't know, just like doubts and just like any type of like negativity. So like the biggest thing for me is like staying like positive in quarantine. So I've been really just trying to stay uplifted, watching different videos or different podcasts that are like uplifting. I've been staying to myself to stay safe because I'm like I'm not really messing with the virus right now. Like people are like out and about, like still partying. Yo, like pull up, like we having this event tonight. Like nah, y'all are having that event tonight. Like we not. I'm not going to that. So
Right.
it's like I've been really just trying to stay to myself mostly, but at the same time, I've had close friends that I'm around, and I live by myself, so it's even harder. I feel like, especially like at this age, like I'm still young. I just turned 23, so to be like 23, living by myself, and then like this time where it's like it's so much isolation. Like it's definitely been hard. It's been a challenge to really do that. But I've been just trying to stay positive. That's the number one thing. Like staying positive and like staying healthy and just like taking it a day at a time, like not really looking at the months, like, oh, I've been in quarantine for months. It's like, nah, I'm gonna just make sure I have a good day today. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna just make sure I have a good day tomorrow. I'm not gonna like look at it on a large scale.
Right. That's very good. Very good. I'd say I'm doing pretty much the same.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, now that we're coming to a close, if there's anything you want to say, or if you have anything coming up, go ahead. It's free. The floor is yours.
definitely. I appreciate it. So everybody follow me on Instagram at freeallminds_. So that's free FREEALLMINDS_. So yeah, follow me at freeallminds_ for more videos, motivational videos, inspirational videos, strategic business videos, my clothing brand information on my nonprofit. Anything you'll be able to find on my Instagram at Free All Minds. And closing out, I would just ask you to really think about what it is that you want in life, and make sure that it's, like we said before, make sure that it's actually what you want and not what somebody else told you is what's best for you. I want you to take today and take this time going forward to really think about that, because years from now, when you're 80, 90 years old, you're going to look back and you're going to have to sign that check on whatever, you're going to have to cash that check on whatever you lived your life by. And it's like only you are going to have to deal with that. So if you went through your life and you dealt with, and you lived your life with regret, and you went down a path that was chosen for you rather than chosen by you, like you're going to have to deal with that, and only you. So take this time to really take that in consideration.
Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you again for having this interview with me. Man,
No
I
problem.
find you truly inspiring, and
Thank you, bro.
you're just an amazing person. I truly appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you once again to Mr. Riccardo Dale for doing this interview with me. If you guys want to hear more from him, I'll leave the links to his website, Instagram, and clothing line in the description down below. To all of you watching, stay motivated, stay inspired, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Over and out.